of
That is a
yeah.
mid-off, like Spurs set pieces and Arsenal set pieces. It's like a proper mid-off. Uh,
Yes. If it was like Spurs scoring from a set piece would be like on my bingo card of like miracle. you know?
yeah, it's like on Ash is like bucket list,
Yeah, it's
Watch
also
Spurs women
Arsenal. I
score.
think us scoring from set pieces is also. I think we scored one against Bayern, and I was just shell shocked to see it that we scored from a set piece. So uh,
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel, All About the W. My name is Sky. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Ash. She's our resident football expert, our Spurs super fan. Ash, how you been? A big weekend coming up.
I am, despite Spurs' poor form, I'm oddly excited and oddly optimistic. That's
Right.
called delusion.
Yes, it's something that goes hand in hand with being a Spurs fan, I guess, to some extent. It's something you cultivate over the years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are obviously here to preview the North London derby that's going to happen at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday. To do this, we're joined by a very, very special guest. She's somebody who's been an Arsenal fan for many years. She's been following the Arsenal women since 2014. Yes, 2014. And, it's obviously super exciting to have somebody who's witnessed the growth of the women's game in England and also around the world for the past few years. But I'm also super excited because Nithya, who has joined us, happens to be my sister, which obviously is her biggest claim to fame. Welcome to the channel, Nithya. How are you doing?
thanks. Yeah, I am quite actually the opposite of Ash. I'm naturally a pessimist, and I'm a little bit shaken by how good we have been, and I feel that it's just the fall is just coming. And also that's the curse of being an Arsenal fan, I guess, is you think last year at yeah, around the same time we were like, oh yeah, we're doing great, like this is going to be our year, and every time, yeah, there's a disappointment around the corner. So I'm cautiously optimistic, let's say.
Yeah.
Also pretty
Last
excited
year,
though.
last year your title win was basically beating Chelsea 4-1 at the Emirates, right?
Wow, I thought we were just previewing the North London Derby here.
Okay. You know what? I'll be
Chelsea
nice.
fans will have to get a dig in.
You know what? I'll just be nice. But you know what? We'll get started with the preview. But before we get started, I just want to remind everybody to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, but also like subscribe to us on Spotify because we put it out as a pod as well on Spotify, on other platforms, and please make sure you leave some comments because it's always exciting to hear from all of you who are watching and listening. So let's get started. Nithya, I think I'll start with you. So it's been like a slightly turbulent time with Arsenal, right? Like Jonas has resigned, but Renee Slegers has stepped in and, she steadied the ship. Like, that North London derby last year was in some ways like the beginning of the end for Jonas. Like it exposed the problems in the Arsenal attack, especially against low blocks. But Slegers has come in. She sort of steadied the ship. You've suddenly scored 9 goals in 2 games, five against Brighton and four against Juve. So I'm just wondering, do those performances make you feel like slightly more optimistic, or do you think Spurs pose like a slightly different challenge, like
Yeah,
defensively?
I think I think definitely Spurs definitely pose a different challenge defensively compared to Brighton or Juve. Or Juve completely play a different game, right? Like their press, or like their kind of pressure on the ball with every place in the field, every player is quite different from what we see any in the Super League at all, like Women's Super League anywhere with any team at all. And Brighton also play more attacking football than Spurs. I do think that Spurs will not. Well, they will play a defensive game, which is proven to be quite effective against a team like Arsenal. that's majorly where we have struggled. So I do think the defensive challenge will be a little bit different, but not completely unfamiliar to us. And what I am optimistic, or like what I see happening a little bit differently now, is the fact that our attack is yielding results. And Yeah, it comes because of many small tweaks, but it's finally, it, just to put it simply, clicking. And I hope that takes us through this game, unlike the last year.
Yeah, it's exciting to see Arsenal, sort of like different goal scorers coming in. They seem to be playing with a little bit more confidence, surely.
Right, yeah. And our strategy has always been, and Renee Slehers is, yeah, she's the assistant coach, and she's part of the staff that Jonas left behind. So in a sense, that I don't think our system has entirely changed, and that is too much to expect also in the middle of a season. And But what I do see is that uh, within this system of playing out from the back, we are doing some things better, especially in the final third, and that's promising. And I hope that we can keep building on it and keep. Even now, if you see, I think our XGs are still a little bit higher than our actual goal scored. So there's room for improvement, especially with like Russo and a few like strikers really missing on ones and stuff, or going wide in the final when they go for goal, like going wide a little bit. These things happening even in the Brighton game, for example, and stuff hitting the crossbar. And you can say it's unlucky, but it can also be like maybe a refinement in finishing can make those things better. So yeah, but at least it's in the right direction, which is different from what it
Yeah.
was a month and a half ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Ash, we've spent a lot of time on our channel talking about Spurs' defensive woes. They've obviously right now conceded 18 goals in 7 matches. In the last season, they conceded 36 goals. So we are not like even close to halfway through the season. And you're already halfway there in terms of goals conceded. So um, I guess my question is, what is your assessment of Spurs right now? Not just defensively, but in like general terms.
I think what we're seeing with Spurs is that uh, we our squad is so thin, it's so threadbare, that the way that Rob wants us to play physically, we're just not able to pull that off on the field. Like, if you look at we got two injuries early on in the season, and that ruined our whole season, right? We're playing forwards as midfielders, and midfielders as forwards, and defenders as midfielders. We're just playing anyone anywhere right now. And that's just from like one or two like a couple of injuries, right? Say three injuries. And to me, that, for one, it suggests the lack of depth, like serious lack of depth in the team, and what went wrong with our transfer season. But secondly, it also suggests to me that like, if you're going to buy players, you have to buy players, ball playing players. Because if, like, what the manager wants, if your players can't like do that, like, we have three midfielders, and like, both Suminen and Spence, while they're good, very good midfielders, they're not exactly your ball playing midfielders. Like, if you don't have a person like Oros in that midfield, we just lose all ability to play through a mid block. So that's the problem. Like, the way Rob wants to play and the players that we have, there's a total mismatch. And so what happened, and it always looks worse with the defenders, because it looks like they're terrible at playing out from the back, which is true to some extent. But it's also because there's no like functional midfield to relieve the pressure, you know
Yeah.
uh, because if there was a midfield that was like sort of progressing the ball, then they wouldn't be under that much pressure to begin with. So I do think that there is a serious problem of depth and a serious problem of a mismatch between style of play and the players you're recruiting. And it's inexcusable also because Rob has been here for 2 years now. It's his second season with Spurs, 2 years, as in 1.5 years. It's his second
Yeah.
season with Spurs. Uh, like if the club is not giving him what he wants in terms of players, etc., then he should be raising a stink. He seems to be very happy with the players he's getting. Or if it's him picking these players and wanting these players, then he should be showing better results.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, at this point, I feel like it's difficult for us to figure out if it is a coaching issue or a personnel issue because, I mean, I would be hard pressed to say that it's maybe a coaching issue because at this point, you have to just assume that Rob is in charge, maybe not in charge of, I mean, he's not in charge of money, but at least the transfer decisions are to some extent in his hands, you know. Um, yeah. You know what? Let's just take a fun trip down memory lane. Let's go 10, 11 months back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I know, Nityaka, you tortured yourself this week rewatching that match. Um,
Uh,
so I just want, like, you know, you've had some time to sit with it, obviously, 10, 11 months in a new season. So tell me if it's possible to reflect on that game and maybe like objectively sort of say what went wrong for Arsenal in that game.
Yeah, I was a masochist and did watch that whole match again earlier this week. And I mean, even though like I clearly remember where I was, what I was doing when I was watching that match, I really remember how I felt and everything. But what also another point that stood out is besides watching the match, another thing to point out is that uh, we had played Spurs back to back that time. So we had played them in the League Cup 3 days before that, which we ended up winning on penalties because I think it was like 2-2 or 3-3 a draw
It was
at the end of
3-3. Yeah.
extra time. Yeah. And then just 3 days later, we played them in the Women's Super League. So what I think had happened was that they initially had a lot of data points on our inability to break through this like mid to D block from the Liverpool match, which was the opening game in the Emirates, right? Like last year, which we lost 1-0 to Liverpool, and then also data points from the just the previous match few days before the WSL match. And what I think went wrong is that like we started our regular attack like just playing out from the back, and also we tried like initially not using the full width of the fields. I think we were trying to like really play through the middle when the players realized that it was sort of like a defense that's kind of sitting back and waiting. And that also means the midfielders are doing something different from what they're typically used to, right? Like our midfielders are so good at winning the ball in the middle and creating plays, and when they cannot do that, they are kind of trying to support the back line in playing out from the back. But when I think Arsenal realized that it was not happening the first 20-30 minutes, what what ends up happening typically is just frustration. And then the fallback strategy is just, okay, go wide, cross the ball in, and let's hope something happens. And towards the end of the first half, I could already notice that shift in from like, okay, let's try attacking and creating spaces and playing through the middle, to maybe in the 35th to 45th minutes, really going out wide and just doing crosses. And neither of that worked. And well, the Spurs goal was just really like one moment of brilliance, right? Like it was just a beautiful goal. I don't know if you remember, but it was a beautiful play all the way from the back. Just everything was perfect. And I think the Arsenal defense was completely caught off guard. And this is also something that I think they need to be mindful about, is when you consistently keep trying to break down a defense playing out from the back over and over, it's easy to be caught off guard when there's a counterattack. And that's exactly what happened. Kind of couple of players in the deep midfield and also in the back line kind of dozing off, snoozing on defense. And then, there was a goal. We were goal down and we could never recover. It's the same thing. And then I think the Spurs defense went even deeper back. And we had no strategy or nothing. We tried was we were trying to throw everything and see what sticks, but nothing was sticking. And yeah, and I think this year at least we are doing a little bit better in the final third. In the beginning of the season, I thought we could just take a shot. Like, instead of passing the ball back, you don't see space in the middle. Just it's okay. Just go for goal. Like, just take a shot, even if it bounces off a player and you have to get a rebound. That's okay. But now I think we are playing even better in the sense of like setting up for another player that's running in, and there's a lot of people like cutting lots of give and goes happening. So that's also good signs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely playing with a little more confidence. I remember, I mean, that game had a massive stoppage time, like 11 minutes or something. And in the 101st minute, literally every Spurs player was in the box. Like every single, it's like they were trying to just hang off the goalposts,
Yeah,
sort of
it's like
keep it out,
the
which is fair enough. Yeah. Um,
yeah.
but Ash, obviously, like last year, it was a big moment for Spurs women. It was the first North London derby win for them. And this win also came after like a really tough run of games. Like Spurs hadn't won like in 5 matches. There were 3 draws, 2 losses. They'd conceded like 11 goals to the Manchester teams right before this match. So um, I'm just I just want to ask you, like, what do you think Spurs like got right in that match? What did you like about the way Tottenham played?
The thing is, what I really liked was the fact that we were willing to put aside the way that we generally play just to win this game because we knew how much it meant to the fans. Like, generally, Rob doesn't do that. Like, we lost. Like Man City scored 7 goals against us, and he continued playing like that against Man City again and again throughout the season. But when push came to shove, he knew that playing Arsenal in that game, playing Man City in the cup in the cup tie, those games were really important, and fans would not have forgiven him for losing. And so he changed the way that we play just for those 2 games. And I appreciate that in him. Because I would say that we could be naive and think we can play football against Arsenal. We really can't. We just player to player. We like I am delusional as a Spurs fan, but I also know that player to player, quality wise, Arsenal are just like leagues better than we are. I mean, some positions maybe not. Like Beth England, I think. Martha Thomas, when she's fit, I think is a good striker as well. So there are some positions where maybe we could make the argument that we're not. But everywhere else on the pitch, I think player to player, where sadly don't match. And the second thing is the game that you're talking about, the previous game. We had an exceptional performance by Botikova, who was our goalkeeper, and this is something we've seen whenever we play Arsenal and it's a close game. Like 3 years ago, we had a 1-1 draw, and then this game, the goalkeepers just have an exceptional game, and that's what sort of gets us over the line. Luckily for us, Spencer, as much as I'm critical of her, she is a good shot stopper. So I'm hoping that if Rob chooses to play like a defensive game and then like parks the bus kind of, that to me that strategy makes sense, and I feel like Spencer is more like all of our defense is more able to play that game because people like Spencer, people like Ash Neville, they're all more traditional defenders than they are
Yeah,
your tiki taka pass out from the back, all of this sort of triangle business.
right.
I'm cautiously optimistic that that's like the route we'll go. So hopefully, let's see what happens.
Yeah. I actually remember, I think Rob had posted on Twitter saying, ChatGPT, how does a Tottenham Hotspur team score a goal for that?
Yeah.
With that video. And I kind of found it funny because throughout the game, you could see Spurs trying to use Jess Nass's space down the wing.
Please. Yeah.
And I was like, that's very cute, man. But, I thought you hooping it long. you know but no, but seriously, what a wonderful goal that was, and a big result for Spurs. um I think let's talk a little bit about Arsenal defensively. Nithya, like you mentioned, uh, for that first goal, Arsenal was so out of shape. Like I
Yeah.
mean, there was no shape. It was just
There was
like
no shape.
it
You
was just like
just players
scattered.
dispersed. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's like the
I
chilling
mean,
taking a walk.
to be fair to them, I don't think they expected that Spurs would attempt to
No,
score at all. So
no.
it's fine.
Or 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 that the counterattack would actually get that far. Like I think
Yeah,
everybody thought that somebody ahead would be able to win a battle and like get the ball back, recover the ball,
yeah,
instead of actually having to track back and be back in your formation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. True. Fair enough. Yeah. So, but you did touch up on the defense, and right now uh, the centre back pairing that Sleggers is sort of experimenting with is Williamson and Steph Catley.
Yeah.
That's happened for a couple of games. McCabe is playing well. Fox has had a good run of games. Both of them are playing like, yeah, I would say that they're hitting their usual levels in some sense. So there's been a few good performances lately. So I'm just wondering, like, do you see any potential weaknesses that Arsenal might have in defense? What are some of the things that kind of freak you out when it comes to Arsenal's defense?
Yeah, so I think Leah Williamson is being back from injury and also like slowly finding her place back as the main center back is huge for us. I still do think that she's sometimes a little lost. Like she's sometimes like I think even one incident in the I think it was the Juve match that I actually noticed that she was just completely off balance with her like back to goal and also like really kind of falling back, so completely out of position. And also just when the ball passed behind her and somebody made a run for it, she was just like turning around and looking like she had no idea what had happened behind her because she had no way of tracking where the goal was. So I think there are some moments of like these kind of yeah, where am I, like what the hell just happened kind of moments for her. But I still think that having her as a center back for us is just offensively so huge, especially against a mid to deep block, because I love how fierce and fearless she is. Like not not afraid to advance the ball. Like she's not a typical center back that's just playing the ball back to the goalkeeper or doing those sideways, lateral passes all the time. And so many of the times, like you see, instead of her, if there was like Wubamoy or Codina, they would choose to do a lateral pass where she's like, nope, I'm just going to go for it, like go for a long ball or just slice a ball in through the middle. And yeah, 60% of the time it doesn't work, or maybe 70% of the time it doesn't work, but 30% it does. And it's so good to see that like somebody's willing to take that risk, but then also that the opposition will then respect that risk, but that being said, like her Leah Williamson's defensive positioning is a little bit like of concern to me. And then also, I'm not sure about the pairing. Like, I know that Steph Catley is also coming back from injury, and I think she's a little bit. I trust Codina more than Steph Catley when it comes to defending against set pieces. So I also feel that like Steph Catley can be sometimes like, just completely mispositioned or not turning her hips the right way during during corners and crosses. So I'm not entirely sure about that pairing, but it has worked well for the last couple of games. So let's hope. But overall, defensively, what really freaks me out is our defense against set pieces. I would be very
Yeah,
wary of
that is a
yeah.
mid off, like Spurs set pieces and Arsenal set pieces, like a proper mid off. Uh,
If it was like Spurs scoring from a set piece would be like on my bingo card of like miracles. you know?
yeah, it's like on Ash's like bucket list.
Yeah, it's
Watch
also
Spurs women
Arsenal. I
score
think
from.
us scoring from set pieces is also. I think we scored one against Bayern, and I was just shell shocked to see it that we scored from a set piece. So, yeah,
Yeah, Spurs
Yeah.
defending set pieces also. Like, can I just add Spurs in general set pieces?
uh,
Uh, yeah, I think let's talk a bit about Spurs' offense, right? So it's not just the defense that's been a problem. Like, I mean, the whole team seems to be like a bit disconnected at this point, and Spurs' form in front of goal has not been too good. I mean, apart from that 4-0 win against Crystal Palace, uh, like it's been a bit of a struggle, right? In some matches they're creating enough but not finishing their chances, and in other matches like the one last week against City or the one week before that against Chelsea, like there was just no, like the XG was like hovering at like not point 0.3, not point 0.4. So like you don't really see a whole lot of chance creation there as well. um, I guess my question is, there was also like a slight change that Rob made, like tactically, like in terms of shape, but also in terms of personnel, where he pushed Bartrip up into the midfield and changed the centre back pairing, which honestly, in retrospect, I don't know what to make of. But Luana Buller and Claire Hunt then became the centre back pairing. So, what do you think Spurs need to do like a bit differently? Like, because I know it's not just an like a front line issue, but also like a larger, like the midfield's ability to create. Um, so what do you think tactically needs to look different for Spurs, but also like in terms of the midfield as well as the attack?
So the thing is, I understand the logic of what he was trying to do, because Artin has been like really out of form, and whenever she comes in, she just doesn't. She looks sluggish. She doesn't look like she's contributing a lot. So I think he pushed Bartrip up so that he can move Spence into attack. And he was trying a bunch of things. It didn't work out. I mean, could like credit to him, he made the effort to try. Raso, who was our best attacker, got injured, and then things just fell apart because everyone else was in bad form to begin with. Like both of our strikers are in bad form. Both Martha Thomas and Beth England are not really like they've been getting opportunities and they've been missing it. But what I take heart from is that they have been getting into the positions to score. So like they might have been missing it, but if they weren't making the movement in the first place, that would be even scarier. So I will say, just play a striker as a striker. Stop putting Beth England in cam. Stop putting her out wide. Stop messing about and trying to play both of them together. Play one striker, put two fast people next to them. So, hopefully Raso and Nas, if Raso is fully fit, and then just play three traditional midfielders behind them.
Yeah.
You know, what that looks, and like put Barton back into defense, please, because that Hunt goal is like like I feel like when she's in the back line, there's a sort of like calming influence that she has, and everybody's kind of switched on a little bit. I
Mhm.
feel like that's missing when she leaves the defense, and you could see that even like the Hunt goal was obviously like a really bad mistake goal, right? But apart from that, also uh, positionally, our backline is not like disciplined, like maintaining our shape and our structure, and like creating offside traps. All these things were not happening because the mid
To
like
be
the
fair, it was only 20 seconds in the game, so
yeah,
sorry.
I mean, like, even after that, God, it was a terrible, terrible. Like putting that aside, I'm saying that the defense needs to work on discipline, and that happens with power trips there because she organizes them a little bit.
Yeah.
Ideally, the goalkeeper should also do that, but I do not know what's happening with our goalkeeper currently.
Yeah.
So and Rob did like switch Hunt out because of her, like she was having one of those games. I hope that she's sort of recovered from that, and
Yeah.
like we continue with the back line of like Bartrip and Hunt.
Yeah.
And obviously, because Neildon is out for fullback, we have to put Ella Morris there. But apart from that, I think just
uh
play everyone
neil den
together.
is Neil Den is fit for selection, right? Like this time around. But
Yeah,
but of
but I
course,
don't know
I
if
don't
she'll
think
be
she'll start. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean Claire Hunt, I feel like it's like I feel like she joins the long list of centre backs in the WSL who carry the bunny shot trauma in some ways,
yeah.
which
And
which is yeah,
to be fair, like I know all of Arsenal's forwards are now in form, in the sense that Manam's got 2 goals in the previous 2 games. Russo has scored in the previous 2 WSL games. Ford has scored.
Mead
Mead
has
has scored
scored.
in
Yeah.
the previous games. So they're all in form. I really shudder to think what this hodgepodge backline will do against all of these informed forwards. So we could
Yeah.
possibly lose the game like 6-0 or something like that.
Okay. It's a derby, man. Come on. Like, get yourself together. What the hell? Okay. Uh, so I was thinking maybe we could like quickly put together like a lineup prediction. Ash, I think because Spurs are the home team, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah.
Um, I will just give me 1 second. Yep. So I will put that down as
I got labeling and
yes.
all.
Yes. Let's do this properly. Yes. We go with, well, you only, I
Um,
mean, it's either Spencer or it's a 15-year-old academy player.
yeah, so Spencer in goal.
Yes.
Um, uh, Ash Neville on the right. I'm just going to assume Neilton is starting because I want some comfort out of this episode.
Right. Yes.
And then put Bartrip and Hunt
Oh,
in the middle.
yes. We're going back to bar trip. Okay. Fair enough. You know what? Like you're absolutely right. Like she's a proper leader in that backline, and you need that to sort of
Yeah.
organize your defense. And like Spurs defense was so organized last in the previous like season fixture. And Claire Hunt is going to stick around, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
She will have recovered from her psychological trauma of bungee
Yes.
show.
Yes.
Then in the midfield, put Sumanan in the center.
Hmm.
Put Spence on one side. Um,
Right.
and I'm okay. I'm confused about put Artin in. It's fine. Maybe she'll redeem herself.
Okay. Fair enough. Who else do you have? Like, who are your other? Oh shit! Sorry, not Olga Carmona. Sorry. uh, Artinen. There we go. Okay. All right. Who are your other midfield options though? Like the Spence, the Sumanan, Artinen.
um. So that's the question.
That's
You can
it.
put Bartrip in the midfield, or we have like some children.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. All right. So who's gonna play on the
oh,
right?
Dravidian. Because both Kid Ram and Meteoros are injured. Okay, so we have two
Correct.
midfielders injured. So
Fair enough. Fair
it's
enough.
not Spurs' fault. Like I said,
Yeah.
threadbare depth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, front. Put Naz on the left. Put Rasso on the right, and put. I would personally play England just for the experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are we happy with that? That's our team
Yeah.
for the Northern Derby. Okay, cool. So, Nithya, I think it's so. I'll clear the lineup and we'll start with Arsenal.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
wait.
Uh,
Oh, never
oh,
mind.
sorry.
I
Oh,
was just going to say we can possibly put Winberg also in the middle.
oh, right. Up front, right?
No, no, put her
Uh,
in the midfield.
too late.
Play
I
her
mean,
up.
she's staying on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, um, who do you reckon is going to start in goal? Which is like an interesting question, I think,
Yeah, which
because
is an interesting question for us because I don't
mm,
think we have usually when a team is playing both in Europe and in their top flight, usually the tactic is that you use one goalkeeper for Europe and the other for your national league, but we don't seem to have any of those strategies. Like we just go with gut feeling, I guess. So
Mhm.
uh, I
What
trust,
does your gut say?
yeah, I trust Van Domselaar more than
Right.
Zinsberger with shot stopping, especially if there's a quick counter attack and there's like a 1v1. I just trust Van Domselaar more. Um,
Hmm.
of course, on the right, Emily Fox.
Right.
Um, I would go with actually um, Williamson and
Yep.
Cordina as the center back pairing,
Okay. Okay.
and McCabe will, well, McCabe always starts
At right back. She has been for quite some
left
time,
back.
right?
Well, no,
Sorry,
she
at left
started
back,
left
yeah.
back, but then if Emily Fox gets subbed out, then she will suddenly just magically become our right back. Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
um,
Okay.
in Yeah, in the midfield, I think we play two usually, but okay. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I can change the formation.
no, that's
Do you
fine.
want to?
Yeah,
Okay, okay, cool.
4-2-1-2, whatever. It's fine. So
Okay.
let's go
All
with
right.
the Wally on the Wally, Walty and Little.
Yes.
Actually, I would start
Waldy.
uh, Kuni Cross on the left instead of
Okay.
Kim Little, because I think, yeah, I just feel like when Williamson and Kim Little are both on the same field at the same time in a frustrating match like this, they always have this tendency to just pass back to each other. Like Kim Little trusts
Hmm.
Williamson so much that I feel that she just starts passing balls back if it starts getting frustrating, which I don't want to happen. So
Right.
this is me
So
being
they just
wishful.
like play football between themselves, passing balls.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
cool.
in
Okay.
the middle, Manam.
Yeah. Well, I never thought
And
these words would come out of your mouth, by
I
the way.
know she had such a horrendous last season, but she
Yeah.
has definitely redeemed herself so far.
Hmm.
On the wide right, I would go Mead,
Okay. All
and
right.
on the left attack, I don't know. Ford is really in good form, but I kind of want Caldente to start.
Okay.
Weirdly though,
Interesting
whenever
choice.
you whenever you play with Ford, you always score. Or with Carl Dente playing, you've only scored once when she's come on. Like in the last 2 or 3 games. So like,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Ford is really good wide, and Caldente really likes to cut always inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I feel like Ford is a good option, especially if we can make substitutions, bring Catley and Ford in at the same time. I think that would be really good because they both play with for Australia together, and they're so good, kind of linking up with each other. And I think that
Mm.
would be kind of also will throw off the opposition a little bit. I'm hoping. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, my only concern is I think this was after the Everton game, right? Like the only concern I have with like Mariona, Manam, and Mead playing is that they all
or
congest
like
the
to be
central area.
inside. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when you're already, I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be like a mid block to a low block. So you really can't, you need some width
Yeah.
to break down teams like that. So yeah, it'll
But
be interesting to see. Yeah, go on.
what I've noticed happening now is that like I sometimes feel like we only play with two defenders, especially when the team opposite is like not even trying to attack, and we
Mm.
only have like Cordina or like the two center backs staying forward. And
Mm.
depending on where the ball is, I see McCabe or Fox like really going so far up. Fox especially, oh my god, I'm such a Fox fan. She goes so far up the field. She had two shots on goal the last couple of games,
Yeah,
and I feel like that kind of opens up and allows Mead to go wider because Fox is there to cut in from the right a little bit, and then that allows
right.
Mead to kind of hang out more wide than she usually does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think what is going to be interesting is that like Spurs have two really pacey wingers
that's
in
what I was
Raso
going to
and
say.
Naz.
yeah,
So it's going to be really like I don't think it's a very
no,
safe option to push up both McCabe and Fox.
yeah,
So yeah. But yeah, let's see. Up front, Blackson is
Russo,
Russo. Russo, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, to be
Okay.
fair to Russo, he's suddenly hit form.
Yeah, I think she suddenly remembered how to get the ball into the goal. Like, I
Yeah.
think really every other aspect of her play is just so wonderful and so brilliant. Like the way I don't know how she runs so much. Like 95th minute, you're up 3 goals and she's still like running back, like winning the ball back at the midfield, and setting it up for somebody ahead, which is what you would, I don't know, which some teams would want to kill for in a striker. But at the end of the day, like if you're playing as a nine, you have to bury some balls at the end of the net.
Yeah.
So yeah,
To be fair, I think she's the most complete striker in the WSL. Like, with all due respect to higher scoring people
Hmm.
like Bunny Shaw and Ramirez and all, I think Russo is possibly the most complete striker. Is a footballer.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay. I have opinions, but I think maybe I'll reserve them for later. But yeah, so are there any sort of duels that both of you are sort of looking forward to uh, in the match tomorrow? Yes.
Yeah, for
Nas
me though,
Fox. Oh, go ahead.
go on.
Oh, Nas Fox would be really cool, I think,
Hmm.
and on that side, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also going to go. So since you said Nas Fox, I'm going to go Raso McCabe because Raso has this, she's very like deceptive. Like she looks like she's slow, but she has this way of like taking on the defender and sort of getting past you before you realize it. It's uh, like there's like magic feet, So
Hmm.
if she's, I don't know if she's back into full fitness. I don't know if she's fit enough to start, but if she does start, that battle between McCabe and Raso could be really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm honestly really looking forward to Ashley Neville's performance. I'm a big fan of Ashley Neville. Um, I feel like she's such a hardcore Tottenham player. Like I feel like she's gonna like pull every last ounce of energy she has into like defending. Like her life depends on it. Yeah.
And she was
So
outstanding in the last match that we lost. So she had a
yeah,
phenomenal game, I think.
She's a
absolutely.
big game player. Like she won't turn up for like the smaller games and we lose like or something. But when it really matters, she always comes through. Comes through. I will also say the entire Arsenal team versus our goalkeeper.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, honestly, Becky Spencer has had like a really depressing run of games.
We can
So,
stop presenting.
huh? Oh
We can
yeah,
stop presenting.
yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, yeah. She's had like a really sort of uh, boring, not boring, bad run of games. So I really hope at least she can like do well in her, commanding the box and like short stopping and things like that. Yeah. So obviously, like that was like a really good conversation, a good preview for hopefully what will be a very exciting weekend. One last thing that I want to ask you guys: score predictions for the North London Derby. Let's go back your teams.
I am a
Nithya, you go
pessimist.
first. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a pessimist, like I said. So I will. I think I will go for as an Arsenal fan, you're kind of trained to watch many frustrating matches. So I will prepare for a frustrating match, and which ends up with 1-0 Arsenal.
Okay. Ash, I know you predicted 1-0 Spurs a few days ago. Have you changed your mind since? Do you think somebody's going to come into form and beat Arsenal 3-0? Like,
No,
where are you
I
at
mean
mentally?
it's either 1-0 Spurs or 5-0 Arsenal. So I'm just going to go 1-0.
There is no middle ground. Okay. Okay. Amazing. Okay. Superb. So, Nitya, thank you so much for joining us. But before we let you go, I see the hashtag alongside your name, hashtag payback time. Do you want to speak to us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's obviously about the North London Derby. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so for those watching, the COP 29 is going on. It's you know that it's a conference where world leaders and experts gather to talk about solutions to climate change. It's an issue that I deeply care about. But lately, these COP events, like COP28 last year and this time the COP29, have kind of turned into these performative events where nothing really happens. It's just the CEOs of fossil fuel companies that have taken over and use it as an opportunity to do like backdoor deals, unfortunately, with under the pretense of like, oh, worrying and doing something about climate change. So the COP29 is going on right now in Azerbaijan, in Baku, and there is a website that www.cop29.com. It should be in the links. That a climate justice group has managed to acquire. It was actually owned, interestingly, it was owned by an Indian couple, apparently, for their own company. But then when the COP29 came into existence, like the organizers really tried and kind of giving them a lot of money to acquire it, but they said no. And finally, this like nonprofit organization has managed to acquire that website, a web handle, a web address, and please go visit, because it talks about climate justice, what it means, and how it's time for fossil fuel companies to pay back, because we are in this position largely because of them and their irresponsibility. So it talks about accountability to fossil fuel executives and people who have also, not only like not done anything, but actively also suppress information from coming out about their role in this crisis. So yeah.
Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing that. We'll definitely put the links in the show notes so that all of our listeners and viewers can sort of go have a look at this very, very, uh, you know, important discourse. Uh, and to our viewers and listeners, just a quick reminder that we're going to um, be live streaming. It's going to be a watch along for the Chelsea versus Man City game that's happening at Stamford Bridge on Saturday. It's a slightly later kickoff, but if you go to our YouTube channel, you can see the. I mean, it's already scheduled. It'll be there in the upcoming section uh, of the YouTube channel. So please keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully, like a lot of you can join us for the watch along. But Nityaka, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real joy to have you on the show. Hopefully, you can come back repping Arsenal a few more times with us.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun, and I'm super excited for tomorrow, no matter what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully it'll be a fun game. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
great
Thank you so
football.
much.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, for listening. We will catch you next week with the review for Game Week 8 with some other exciting guests. So, again, keep your eyes peeled. Please keep an eye out on our socials as well. We will put out some news about who's joining us, etc. Anyway, take care until then. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Come on, you Spurs!
Okay. Okay. All right. Bye.